All righty, let's go. Let's talk a little Miami Hurricanes. And David Furones does an excellent job of covering the Miami Hurricanes on a daily basis for the South Florida Sun Sentinel. And you can follow him like I and so many others do at David Furones _. David, good morning, my brother. How you doing?
There you go. I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain, my friend. I'm just enjoying another beautiful Wednesday here. Plenty of things to talk about on a beautiful Wednesday. I was reading your article in the South Florida Sun Sentinel, talking a little bit about National Signing Day tomorrow. Before we get into the National Signing Day, David, how would you assess Manny Diaz's offseason, my brother?
Well, a lot going on in the offseason. I think Manny Diaz went in with a plan after obviously the 0-3 end to the season with those embarrassing losses to FIU, Duke, and Louisiana Tech in the bowl game and a shutout to Louisiana Tech, that he needed to fix some of these issues that he had. The biggest one was offensively, from the offensive coordinator on down to the quarterback position itself. And he addressed both of those situations with the new offensive coordinator, Rhett Lashley, and which I'm sure we're going to talk about. And then quarterback getting the big grad transfer, the biggest name that was, or one of the biggest names that was on that market, Houston quarterback D'Eriq King. So you address those two issues, and then even add a pass rusher where you have two guys going into the NFL draft that were defensive ends, and a top 10 sack leader in the country last year, Temple defensive end Quincy Roche, and then kicker. We all know that was a big issue for those four losses that came early in the season, and got a grad transfer from FIU, hometown kid out of Miami, Jose Borregales, the older brother of the kicker commit in his 2021 recruiting class, Andres. So, really addressed a lot of the issues that were hurting this team.
I thought I don't know how all of them are going to work out, but it sounds like he made a lot of effective moves overall, because getting that defensive end, getting D'Eriq King, and getting Lashley, man, those are, and the kicker, by the way, those are four enormous issues.
Right. So he would say it during the season that he always feels that if you have a problem, you need to fix it. So he stood by that and put those words in action. He found the issues that were demoralizing his team and addressed them for sure. And then we haven't even mentioned Ed Reed, chief of staff, where there were all the Alonzo Highsmith rumors swirling, and then the on and off talks. Eventually, no offer on the table, and nothing went down. But got a guy in the building that I know fans are still very happy to see is back in Coral Gables and representing the program in Ed Reed.
Yeah. What do you think about that move, David? Is that a move you feel is going to really help this franchise or this program? I'm sorry.
Well, and we're going to talk to Ed Reed later today, actually. And what I want to do is get a better idea of exactly what he's going to be doing, and the trade-off in power between him and Manny Diaz. What said in its release is that he'll play an advisory role to Manny. So it'll be interesting. You have to see it actually play out and come into action. As far as a face and a name that's recognized in the University of Miami community, it's a home run hire for sure. He's a Pro Football Hall of Famer. He's a guy that has a lot of respect amongst anyone that you talk to in the football circles. And so from that perspective, absolutely tremendous. And then now we just have to see, what he'll actually do once he's in the office, once he's out there checking out practice, the limited recruiting role that he's allowed to play. Because obviously, I know a lot of kids. Granted, these kids now that are coming up through high school, some of them may be too young to remember him definitely in the Miami days, but maybe just got a glimpse of him playing professionally with the Baltimore Ravens and all those years, and but still a name that definitely carries some weight for sure.
So let me ask you, David Furones, of course, from the South Florida Sun Sentinel, Canes beat writer, joining us here. Did Manny and Blake kind of do whatever they could to make sure that Highsmith wasn't going to get hired because they were kind of afraid that Highsmith was the guy that was going to come here to kind of, make sure they were on the straight and narrow, and then they go and get Ed Reed because that's not going to be a threat to them. Do you agree with that first and foremost?
Well, it's interesting because according to the reporting that me and my partner over here, the Sun Sentinel, Dave Hyde, did in talking to some of the people within the program and board of trustees that were and donors that were really pushing for Highsmith, then it seemed like they were getting some pushback, and there was one who offered to go ahead and say, "Hey, we want Highsmith so bad, I will offer to pay his salary," and then Blake James kind of seemed to have to bring him back into the conversations because of that. So, yeah, I mean, I think when you're talking about bringing in a guy who is a high-ranking NFL executive, has done it for so many years, is eyeing a potential GM position one day, was vice president of player personnel with Cleveland. Yeah, I mean, that could be viewed as a threat for a college athletic director, a young college coach who has just 1 year of head coaching experience under his belt, obviously several more as a coordinator and a great coordinator at that. But, when you're kind of trying to figure things out in a way in 1 year for Manny Diaz, then, when you have such a high-ranking kind of influencing voice, then it could be viewed as a threat for sure.
Well, so then here's what I want to ask you is, what do we know about this power struggle? Because clearly there must have been a power struggle between the board of directors and the boosters and all that, because there was talk that they're the ones that kind of wanted Alonzo Highsmith. So then it looks like Blake James and the coach kind of won their power struggle because they wanted instead Ed Reed. So maybe the president was kind of in the middle of all of this. In a way, that's kind of the impression I'm getting about all of this. Do you get the same thing?
Yeah, the president, you're saying Julio Frank?
Yes.
That he was involved in what aspect?
No, that he's in the middle of this. He's in the middle. That
kind of.
That you got the board and the boosters wanting Highsmith, and then Blake and Diaz going, this is not good for us because we could lose our jobs if we're not good enough next year. Let's get our own guy, and they go and get Ed Reed, and they kind of come back with Ed Reed, and then they win on their power. That, to me, that's the impression I get from the outside looking in. You tell me how wrong I am there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I can't speak too much on that, but I mean, for Julio Frank, I'm sure that's the last thing he wants to be in the middle of is board of trustees, pushing so hard in one way, and then the guys that you have as your athletic director and head coach, definitely seeing it in a different way. So in the end, I think Blake James and Manny Diaz went ahead and they wanted to get a guy who fans would still and trustees alike would still be very pleased with after there was a lot of negative pub around not eventually handing that offer to Alonzo Highsmith and getting him in, and they wanted to flip it with a guy that the Miami faithful was still going to hold in high regard.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. All right, so David Furones, of course, joining us. National Signing Day tomorrow. In your article, it was kind of this is going to be a quiet one because of a lot of the things that have taken place. Can you explain a little bit?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's just the increasing trend in the last 3 years since college football instituted this early signing period in December. Just the schools want to get a lot of their class secured by that early period. A lot of the prospects want to make sure they know where they're going, and a lot of them want to even enroll early. It used to be that only the early enrollees were signing early, and everyone else would do it on the traditional first Wednesday of February, as where we are today. So really, the Hurricanes only right now signing one prospect, and that was the Georgia cornerback Isaiah Dunson. Good 4-star pickup. One of the top remaining prospects at that position after they only had one cornerback in the early class, which had 18 prospects, eventually turned into 19 because they had a Washington State receiver that had signed with Washington State. He's from San Diego, and Keyshawn Smith. And since they had a head coaching change there, he was able to back off of that according to NCAA rules, and then Miami jumped on him. So he was already in. And then you get this one cornerback out of Georgia, Isaiah Dunson. And then they're still waiting on a former Chaminade Madonna defensive tackle, Willie Moise, who has to get some academic issues apparently in order before being able to sign with the Hurricanes. So kind of quiet, and I guess you can also include those transfers into the recruiting class. So just because it's quiet on signing day doesn't mean the class itself is a disappointment. It's just kind of twofold. It's a lot of it is just happening early, and just because you don't have the signing day big additions doesn't mean the class is to be viewed differently. And then also, it's just the trend of how the whole recruiting calendar has kind of moved up in college football.
So, David, as you've had time to look at this recruiting class, what do you like from it? What do you hear from people that grade these kind of things that we know nothing about because we don't know these kids?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get a young quarterback in Tyler Van Dyke, who, the one time I saw him, which was at the Paradise Camp, the marquee recruiting event in the offseason for the Hurricanes, and he looked absolutely stellar throwing the football. Zipping passes in, has a great arm talent. The running backs that they're bringing in, two local kids, one from Belen and Don Chaney, an All-American, another All-American, Jalen Knight, who comes from Deerfield Beach. So you bring in young talent into that room after you just had DJ Dallas go into the draft, and then you also had Lorenzo Lingard, the former five-star, who has had some knee problems and injury issues, transfer out to the University of Florida. And then on the defensive side,
by the way, his cousin, right? It's his cousin or whatever. He's going to end up choosing Florida over right? That's kind of the plan.
Yes.
Is what you wrote.
Right. So Lorenzo Lingard's cousin is Avante Williams, who's choosing between Miami and Florida today at 12:30. That's the one other thing that UM is kind of waiting on, but all indications seem to be that it will be Florida. But there's some late rumors that it could be Miami, but we'll see. I mean, it seems to be trending toward Florida. It has been for a while. It's to just wrap up on the recruiting class itself. I think the defensive line prospects, they got a lot of DNs that are coming in. One of them who can play some end and move into tackle, and you can give these guys some time to develop. Let them gain some of that weight. The right weight, and let them play behind some of the guys they have now. And DB, even if they don't get Avante Williams, I mean, you're still bringing in a very talented DB class with the three safeties they brought in. Jalen Harrell, one of them at a Champagnat. They're local here. Keyshawn Washington, really long guy that they kind of compared to Sheldrick Redwine a little bit. I mean, a lot of good prospects coming in.
It sounds like it, and obviously D'Eriq King sounds like this is the ultimate difference maker here. And with Van Dyke, now you don't. The beauty is you don't put the pressure on the kid to have to save the damn program, right? Because this year is so important. Can you imagine if you didn't get D'Eriq King? Now Van Dyke has to come in and has to be the savior, whereas D'Eriq comes in, he's experienced, man. You can throw him in the fire, and he's going to adjust a lot faster than this poor kid would, even though from the film that I see, David, dude, Van Dyke has got a gun, bro. I mean, that's a really nice arm.
Yes, definitely. And, I mean, before you get D'Eriq King, then some of the talk kind of had to be about, well, you saw what you have in the three quarterbacks that you had last year, Jaron Williams, N'Kosi Perry, and Tate Martell. Does this team really need Tyler Van Dyke to immediately jump in and jump these guys on the depth chart? Because you kind of almost know what you have in the other guys. But, now you have D'Eriq King. You're pretty certain he's going to be the starter, and he could just handle that role, barring any injuries, hopefully. And he could just take Miami through this season. It'll be a one-year stopgap, kind of. But then Tyler Van Dyke could just learn behind him. He's going to be in the system obviously he was recruited by Dan Enos here, but He's familiar with Rhett Lashlee already, offensive coordinator. He spent a year at UConn, and Tyler Van Dyke is from Connecticut, so they actually kind of knew each other a little bit from back then. So now Tyler Van Dyke can kind of ease into things as opposed to having the pressure of immediately challenging for the starting quarterback role.
I think that's. I mean, this helps Manny keep his job, my brother. Because if he has to win a lot and then win with a freshman quarterback, my Lord, that's just so hard to do, man. It's almost near impossible to ask somebody to do that. And with all the heat, although, I can also turn it the other way, David. It's like, well, now you got an experienced quarterback. You have actually lessened the excuses. You have no excuses now. In other words, you would have had an excuse with a young quarterback. With an experienced quarterback, now there's more pressure on Manny to win a lot more games.
Right. There will be, yeah. I mean, he can't go losing games that this team should win. And I think it kind of would have been the same way regardless because, going into last season, you looked at the schedule and you were saying, well, outside of the Florida game, you could see Miami being favored in every game. That, they brought in the transfer last year in Tay Martell, and N'Kosi Perry is a year older, and Jaron Williams could be the guy. And one of these guys should be able – there's three options. One of them should be able to lead this program, and then that didn't work out. But now, yeah, I mean, he shouldn't have any of the excuses regardless. But I think also the interesting thing is, yeah, he's going into year two, and it used to be that you give a head coach in college at least 3 or 4 years. But we just saw up the road in Tallahassee, Willie Taggart, 1.5 years, midway into year two, kind of 3/4 in the way, I guess, he gets let go. And it just goes to show you that when a board of trustees, when donors of a school are really clamoring for something to happen, like what happened over there, then that could really be a big influence. So Willie Taggart was gone in year two. So it just goes to show you that, yeah, I mean, the pressure can and will be on Manny Diaz to win in year two.
Follow him on Twitter at DavidFuronis _ Catch his work, of course, at the South Florida Sun Sentinel or get it at your doorstep. David, as always, man, you're a stud, my brother. Thank you for taking some time and dropping the knowledge, baby. Appreciate it.
You're too kind. You're too kind. Thank you.
You got it. There you go, man. David Furonis, man. Good stuff there. Good dude. And it's going to be a fun year. And really, Manny... Manny had a little bit more of an out with Van Dyke. I mean, you all expect, and so do I, for him to win way more than he did last year. And he's got an easy schedule. But if you have a young quarterback, right, unless you lean to one of the guys who was already there, but if you go to Van Dyke, you kind of have a little bit of an out there because, it's a freshman. But now with D'Eriq King... no freshman, no nothing. This is a star. You're adding a guy that is a star in this game. So now that transition should be a lot easier. And you added supposedly one of the better or younger better young minds in offense in college football in Lashlee. Less excuses. Hey man, you're Manny Diaz, my brother. It is time for you to step the freaking up. That's it. I wanted Manny to be the coach, just like a lot of you wanted Manny to be the coach. But right now, we look like we didn't know what the hell we're talking about. Right now, we can all pick on Blake James, but we're just as bad as Blake James with the Manny Diaz decision. Manny now has to prove that we were right about him. It's up to him now. It's not you. It's not me. It's not Blake James. It's up to Manny now to prove that he is the right guy to be the head coach here for the University of Miami. Hey, let me give you something. I love talking about music, right?
No, not you.
Are you a Psychedelic Furs fan?
Of course.
Of course. It's a stupid question. I've known you for 40 years. I know you are. They're coming in concert.
Okay. Anywhere near us.
Yes. Well, no, they
Revolution?
No, but they come a lot.
Yeah, they do.
They come a lot. So
and they hit venues that are great, intimate. It's awesome.
And you nailed it. Revolution Live. Okay. Because they either go to the Culture Room or Revolution Live. We saw them once when Grand Central was still open down in Miami.
Yes.
God, I miss Grand Central. Can somebody open up a venue like that in Dade County, please? 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 I mean, hey, I give Club Space some love. At least they're trying. They brought me Peter Murphy. They brought me, what was it? It was Peter Murphy that night, The Alarm, and Gene Loves Jezebel. And now we're going to go see Berlin, Big Country, and somebody else. It's like a third band, which is it's going to be a great concert. I can't wait for that concert. The shame is that same night is Buck Cherry at a strip club. Yeah. Buck Cherry's coming down later this month to Vixen's Gentlemen's Club. Do you know how cool that is to see Buck Cherry in a strip club? You get to hear Crazy Bitch in a strip club? That's awesome, but I'm going to go to the Berlin concert because I love Terry Nunn. I love Berlin. So I am going to go to Berlin and Big Country, and there's somebody else. Oh, Modern English. No, it's not Modern English. Modern English was with the other one. No, it was Gene Loves Jezebel, Modern English, and The Alarm. That's what that was, that other one. Anyway, and Peter Murphy was also another concert that was there. That's what it was. And now they're bringing the Berlin concert. So kudos to Space. But think about that. Buck Cherry at a strip club, that's awesome. I mean, that's great. But anyway, let me get back to this. So if you like the Psychedelic Furs, April 13th, which I'm dying to go there, they're at the Key West Theater. Has anybody been to the Key West Theater? Can you give me a scouting report? Because it sounds like it's freaking heaven to go to the Key West Theater, have a great dinner there in downtown Key West, go to the Key West Theater, and then go over to Sloppy Joe's and have some drinks and hang out. I mean, tell me, Bill, that's not a phenomenal night. That's a phenomenal night.
That sounds like a really good night.
Right, actually. That's a freaking great night, right?
The only problem is Key West going all the way down.
So you stay overnight. Stay overnight. I mean, if you do it, you just stay overnight.
Isla Morada's an up and back, but Key West is another animal.
Yes, Key West is another animal. You are so right about that because you can't go 75 miles an hour because you'll get 75 tickets.
They'll love you in Monroe County.
Yeah, they'll love you. You'll be living in Monroe County with all those tickets. Then the 14th, they're at Fort Lauderdale for the Revolution Live, okay? And for those of you more in the Fort Pierce area, they're at a place called the Sunrise Theater. I'm not done. Opening up, I've never seen this, and I'm interested. I know nothing about them, but I know something about one of them. I know it's kind of confusing, right? Electrodomestico is opening up. Do you know Electrodomestico? You don't. But do you know who Jane Weedlin is?
Oh, yes. Yes, I know the name. I do.
And where is she from?
It should be right there, but I know.
Weak musical knowledge.
No, I know who it is. I know. Speak.
Weak. The Go-Go's.
Huh?
The Go-Go's. She's
yes.
a guitarist for the Go-Go's.
Yes, yes.
By the way, I just want to give you guys a tip.
Is she playing Go-Go's?
No, they're playing their music. She's with a guy named Pietro Straccia. That's why they're called Electrodomestico, dummy. They wouldn't be playing Go-Go's. So anyway, they formed in 2016. I'm intrigued just to see, because remember, Jane Weedlin was part of, come on, more musical history for you. No, you know the Go-Go's, dummy. What other band was she part of? Sparks. Do you remember Sparks? No. You really don't remember Sparks? I bet you do. I bet you know the top song from Sparks. There was a video. Places to go, whatever, we're going places. I know you've seen the video, bro.
Well,
back in the MTV days.
I'm good with that, but and it was in this movie and blah, blah, blah. But knowing this name was this person, unless it's the headliner, when you were big, any kind of secondary, that's nice.
Sparks. What was Sparks?
Up? Sparks Up?
No, it was just Spark. Well, Spark Up is a whole different thing to do. But I want to go. Cool places with you. I want to go. There it is. Here it is. Yeah, I want to go. You remember that? There was a video to it.
It has a very go-go. It had its airtime on MTV.
Yeah, on MTV. Cool places.
But it's got a very go-go-y tempo and beat.
Well, I wouldn't know. It was a little bit more electronic than anything else. But they're opening up for the Furs. Now, I also want to give you a heads up on Jane Weedland. You know, Jane Weedland is in her, like, I don't know, I want to say mid-50s by now, right? Because if I'm 53, she has to be somewhere
maybe late.
A little old, not too much older.
Late 50s, early. Yeah, because think, we were in high school when the Go-Go's hit. She had to be in her 20s.
Right.
So she's got to be at least 5 to 10 years older. So she's got to be late 50s, early 60s.
All right. I follow her on Instagram. And I don't know if you know, but she maintains herself in amazing freaking shape. When I tell you amazing, I mean absolutely amazing. She tweeted out a picture of her in a what's that called? What's that thing that you hang from a tree from one side to another and you lie in it? What's that called?
It's called a hammock.
Hammock. That's it. She was in a hammock, bro. And I'm telling you, it'll blow you away. I'm trying to find the picture now of it
so
in her
she's like
Instagram.
Christy Brinkley.
She blows
shows no age.
She blows Christy Brinkley's body away by miles and miles and miles.
No, what I'm talking about is
yeah, I know what you're saying.
And they look and maintain, and it's like
no, you're right.
A 30-year-old guy would love to go out with that 60-year-old.
You're right, but what I'm trying to tell you is her body is like super rock solid. Okay, like you watch Christy Brinkley's body, it looks great.
So she's doing all these ab crunchers.
Yes, like
doing stairs for her
J-Lo,
butt
like
in the hole. Yeah,
she's like J-Lo, like in a way. And if you watch her, and if you ever see her on stage and you'll notice that she's the one that still has out of that group a like smoking hot body. And I can't find the damn picture now. I know I saved it actually on my phone. Because, I tweeted it out, I think. I had to give her credit because it was just anybody, as you get older, here's one thing. I appreciate women who, if you look great older, I appreciate you even more than younger women. Like, if you're young and you look hot, okay, it's great, but I'm not that impressed. You're young. You're supposed to look good.
You should look.
You're supposed to look good. But when you're her age and because when you get to that age, you know how hard it is to maintain and do all that stuff. And I'm trying to search for it as I'm talking to you, but it's a picture that will absolutely blow you away when you see what kind of shape she's in. But it's there somewhere in her Instagram or Twitter or whatever. I don't know. I'm trying to find it for you, but I can't. I wish I could. But anyway.
So she's been able to maintain, and she's still a hottie patati.
She's a total hottie batati, whatever you wanted to call her there. She is completely hottie batati.
Well, that's the old 80s reference.
Is that what it was called?
We're just going back in time.
I'm too old to remember.
Because we're back in time.
I'm too old to remember it. All I can tell you is smoking. Anyway, let's take a break. Top of the hour. Quick break. We do want to remind you that the program is brought to you by Choice Mortgage Bank. Call Michael Codsey, the owner, right now. State rates under 3.5%. Here's the owner's personal cell number, and it's 561-441-2730. That's 561-441-2730 for Choice Mortgage Bank. Welcome back. We take you till, right after Michelle Kaufman joins us at 2:30. We're at 2 o'clock for her weekly Inter-Miami report. Can't wait for that, man. Can't wait for it. Looking forward to it. Although I still can't find that Jane Weedland photo for you guys. I tell you, that's one that you would be very impressed if I showed you that photo. Okay? Anyway, 786-322-1105 on the accidentlawfirm.com text line at 786-322-1105. Don't forget to give us the thumbs up while you're watching the broadcast. Thumbs up all the freaking time. Okay? Let me see. Oh, there we go. How about O'Shea? O'Shea Morris is always listening, always watching, huge supporter of the show, texting, tweeting. We love you, O'Shea. I have to meet your ass, bro, one day, all right? You gotta show up one day to one of our events. All right? Jane Weedland. Naked. That woman is, I don't know, again, I don't know what her age is. I have to look it up. There you go. Okay? See those legs?
That's exactly where
See those legs? I got to give her props, dude. Like monster props.
she's easily late 50s, early 60s.
Yes.
Easily.
She's got it.
Because they hit in what, 84, 83?
I think she's in her 60s, man. Now that I think about it, because if I'm 53, she's
Well, look, you just do the math. Like, we were in high school, and they were famous. She had to be 18, 20, 22, 23.
She's 61.
There you go. Like I said.
60. She just tweeted that April 1st of 2019. There it says the post and everything. You can, on social media, it's going to come out when you posted it. Okay? So she's 60 at that point when she tweets that out.
60-year-olds you'd like to hook up with.
Yes. May 20, April. So that she was 60 a month before she turned 61 when she put that picture out. Smoking legs, dude. I mean, like, wow. I was like, holy crap, dude.
Grandmas you'd want to hook up with?
Yeah,
This is crazy.
definitely that's a gilf. No doubt it's a gilf. For sure. But props, because...
You've even got the terminology down, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course. But listen, anybody that's older has more appreciation for it because you know how hard she had to work to look like that. You know what I'm saying? How many times am I going to catch this thing? I got better hands than Sammy Smith.
Yeah, she ain't making many trips at Krispy Kreme.
No, she's not. Not at all, which is a shame because Krispy Kreme is a great place to go, man. 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, you can also reach out to us on Twitter. That's at Big O Show. I will say this. There's a funny story going around in sports. The Knicks, they fired Steve Mills, as you guys know, yesterday, right? And now they want to get Masai Ujiri, the president of basketball operations for the Toronto Raptors. You know, the guy that traded DeRozan for some guy named Kawhi and brought a title to Toronto, to the country of Canada. Think about that. Their hockey teams aren't winning championships. Their basketball team won a championship. Their baseball team isn't winning a championship right now. At this point, Cito Gaston and company are not coming back, and Paul Molitor and the boys. So this is one of those that I love the delusional. You know what I'm saying? I love the delusional. How delusional can you be in New York if you're a Knicks fan? You have got. There's no way, right? You Knicks fans out there, you're not that stupid, right? You're not actually talking to your friends like we're going to get Masai Ujiri, right? Are you guys done with that already? Because I'm kind of tired of hearing moronic New Yorkers, okay, because they're obviously not very smart at times, and they talk about their Knicks like everybody's coming to play for them and nobody does. I mean, I would imagine that story already, you Knicks fans out there, you're done doing that, right? By now, you've got to be done, right? Because you've looked like a real horse's ass for years thinking, because, we always hear these New Yorkers, right? Well, everybody wants to play in the Mecca. Everybody will want to go there. Nobody wants to go there. Nobody wants to play for that clown. And when you get somebody to play there, it's because you're the only one willing to pay him that kind of money. Like when you signed Noah, you gave him a stupid contract because nobody would give that guy with shot knees that kind of a deal. You know what I'm saying?
Kevin Durant went down the street.
Yeah, of course. None of these guys, Kyrie, Kevin, none of them were going to sign with the Knicks. They'll give you a little interview. They'll use you as leverage, but they're not going there. Why would Masai Ujiri go? Again, this is Tom Brady. You're playing for Bob Kraft. You're going to go play for Mark Davis? You're going to go play for Dean Spanos? Come on. There's no way that happens. You're Masai Ujiri. You are a god in Canada, not just Toronto. You are a god in Canada. Your team right now, I wrote it down, they're 36-14. They're number 2 in the conference. You're going to go to the worst franchise in the NBA with one of the worst owners in the history of the NBA. Not just the worst owner maybe in basketball right now. No. James Dolan is one of the worst owners in the history of pro sports, not just basketball. If you were talking about the 10 worst owners in all of pro sports in the history of American sports, I guarantee you that James Dolan is in that list. So why would Masai Ujiri, who's working for a great organization, has built a great organization, a very respected organization, because we don't respect the Knicks. We laugh at the Knicks. Okay? Knicks fans, you're a punchline. Your team is a punchline. Your owner is the joke. So why would you want to work for a joke? That's what I don't understand. Why would these stories get printed? Oh, Tom Brady, the Dolphins, it's picking up heat. Really, dude? You're actually going to print that. I mean, the second that story came out, I just had to laugh at it and rip everybody. Because there's no way that's going to happen. Why would Tom Brady at the end of his career come to a rebuild? Even the owner comes out after and says, Tom Brady, the Dolphins? Why? He's a great quarterback. He's the best of all time. But why is he going to come here? We're rebuilding. Even Stephen Ross, at 80 years old, I know he's not 80 or he's close to it, whatever. He knows exactly what he's developing on his team. And they have no shot at winning this year. And he knows it. You do realize that by Stephen Ross saying, why would he come here? We're rebuilding. Even Stephen Ross knows that this year is not bringing anything. I love that he has the right attitude about this, man. Considering how old he is, I think it's fantastic that Stephen Ross is totally in tune, because we just talked about James Dolan. Meddling. Jeffrey Loria, meddling. All these guys that meddle. Look at the Browns. They're a mess. You thought they were on the right track, and there you go again, and this guy screws it all up again. It's when you have these kind of owners, you're never getting anywhere with these kind of guys. They can't shut up. They can't stop getting in the way. And Masai Ujiri knows that. Why would he want to go there? Now we have some idiot Knicks fans. They'll give him total control. He'll love it there in the Mecca. Please.
Is it kind of irresponsible and shows a lack of intelligence the writers think of their readers to be able to try to put this out there and have it stick?
Well, no, because they're just as dumb getting the story and believing it.
Are they? So basically, the writers think that their readers are not very intelligent and they'll buy whatever we sell them.
Listen, if any reporter's saying or writing that everybody wants to play in New York and all that, then you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right. And then if so, and there are writers that still think that. They're just morons at this point, because the proof is in the pudding. That
just go take a look at the last 17, 20 years.
Nobody wants to go to New York and play for the Knicks at all. It's not a desirable place in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I could argue it's more cancerous to play there than actually, a good thing because of all the media there. And you're set up for failure, so they're going to rip you. And you're going to get extra ripped because there's way more media there. And all they have is frustrations, and all they have is losing for 20 years, and all they have is that they're a joke. Again, I go back to Knicks fans that show up at the Garden. That show up at the Garden. You're idiots. That's all. You're an idiot for paying James Dolan money to suffer. You're masochistic. I would imagine that most Knicks fans that have season tickets have some kind of a, dungeon in every one of their houses. Right? They've got to be into chains and whips. There has to be. Every masochistic person in the state and city of New York, they must be the ones that are season ticket holders. And then when they get home, they get tied up and whipped and whatever they have there.
Bondage parties.
All that stuff. It has to be. There's no way that you can be a Knicks fan and be normal. And if you're paying for it, then obviously you love to be, you love pain being inflicted on you. So it's just one of those where it's hilarious to me. It really is. It's freaking hilarious that this whole attitude, and people are writing about this. If you're writing that the Knicks want Masai Ujiri, you should be responsible in writing this. Hey, we hear that the Knicks really want Masai Ujiri, but let's be honest. They have no shot at Masai Ujiri, and why would he come here? Boom, 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 boom. What I just did. The endless amount of examples that the Knicks are losers and that the Knicks are a joke and that nobody should ever want to play for that team. That unless you're a scrub, unless you're a bum trying to steal money, then yeah, you go there. But if you're a legitimate player that wants to win, there is no way you go to the New York Knicks. No way. That's all. Masai Ujiri to the New York Knicks. Are you out of your freaking mind? Okay. Thanks, Big O. My oldest brother was death watching him go. His life, death, brutal. Oh, he also lost his hearing. Oh man, that's terrible. That's terrible. It's a shame. I'm sorry to hear that, Ty. Yeah, living with that has got to be tough, man. Mike Pellegrino says, obviously Manny Diaz stinks. Well, Manny Diaz will get to prove he stinks, or he might be decent this year. This will be the nail in the coffin one way or the other. Jason Miller says, good morning from SoCal. Well, thank you, Jason. Appreciate you chiming in on the program. Remember, all of you out there watching, to give us a thumbs up on the broadcast. So every time you're watching, give us a thumbs up on the broadcast. Plenty of love out there, and we thank you because it grows every day. Yes?
I got to think that in the course of your life, if you were to lose your sight or lose your hearing,
oh my God,
it has to be tougher because you haven't had to adapt from day one. On top of the fact, you know what it is to have it and have lost it.
Yep.
And to try to cope, that it's probably easier to not have it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Andrea Bocelli.
Oh.
He lost it at I think 12. I want to say he got the illness, and he lost his sight. And he's lived, and he knew what it was, a long time ago. And then he overcame it, and obviously he's one of the greatest opera singers on the freaking planet. One of the highest paid and everything. I mean, obviously he lives a great life, but I'm sure he would give all of it back to have that sight. And you're right, that when you
By no
have
means
it,
are we saying it's easy either way.
oh no, it's brutal. It's got to be
Probably
slightly
tougher
harder
to
when
have
it's
had it and lost.
yeah, of course. It's like love. If you never had love, you don't know what it is.
Right.
And the day you do have a love and you lose that love, then you know what it's like to be without it.
Perfect
so, yes,
analogy.
You know, it's the same thing. You know, it's just one. Hey, that's what we were talking about with Huey Lewis, man. It's just so brutal to have to go through that. You know. And for those of you just tuning in, because Huey Lewis lost his hearing, and so he's kind of fighting to try to get it back. NorCal says Cali Kings worldwide doll fan clubs. Oh, okay. That's Jason is from the. Oh, okay. I got you now.
Yeah, man. We talked to Jason. He was
right.
one of our.
That's right.
He was probably one of our first presidents that we had on the show.
Yes. You're right.
If I remember, he drives oil. I think
oil tanker.
Yes, if I remember correctly, he's a driver, but I want to say
forgot
oil
now.
tankers.
Now I'm trying to remember. I forgot. But Jason, as always, thank you, sir. Appreciate you keeping it locked here on the program, and all of you that are downloading the show in record numbers every single month.
Watch this. He's the one that wasn't able to come to the Jet get together that week,
right?
Because his wife's a Pittsburgh fan, and they went to the Monday Night Football game.
That's right. That's a good memory. Now I remember the story. Now that you're saying it, I now remember the story. You're right about that. Oh, man. You talk every day to so many people, it all just intertwines sometimes. I will admit that happens to me a lot. 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the program, Jason delivers fuel and fun for Fins fans. There you go. That's NorCal chiming in on that one there. All right. Let's see. We are here at the bottom of the hour. Let's do this. Before I get into anything else, let me tell you about Toyota of Hollywood. We'll be there tomorrow, 1841 North State Road 7. If you happen to be in the Hollywood area, we'll be there from 11 to 3, hanging out, having some fun, doing our show. So come on by and join us. We would love to have you come by and say hi. We're getting more and more listeners as the weeks go on and come by and say hi, and that's really cool. So those of you that are getting used to it, that were there on Thursdays, and I guess you must live or work in that area. So if you happen to be in the Hollywood area, come on by Toyota of Hollywood. They've got a lot of free parking right there in front of the main entrance. So you can come on by. Hey, you want to have lunch? They've got a pizza place and a Subway's there. So if you want to just come on by during your lunch hour and say hi and have some lunch, we'd love to meet you. And, of course, you can get a great deal on an automobile. They'll make your payments until 2021. They've got programs like 0% financing for 72 months. Join us tomorrow, man. They're open every day till midnight. Over 400,000 square feet, over 1,500 cars and trucks, which is a great selection. And you do it all at 1841 North State Road 7. It's Toyota of Hollywood.